All right, so thanks for joining us here at Disability Media Network. We are live with Sawsan Zakaria, and she is here to answer all the questions that you may have, all the questions I have about the media and entertainment industry, disability representation, and anything else to be thrown out there. So, by visual represent or description, I'm Jennifer Price. I'm a black woman with shoulder length hair that's pulled back. I have on a blue blazer with a gray shirt underneath. Sawson, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Sawsan Zakaria. I am a brown woman with a messy bun and circled glasses, and I'm wearing a dark blue shirt.
Yeah, so why don't we just get us started by you telling us what made you even get into the industry in the first place? What was your journey like getting into the entertainment industry?
Um, my initial inspiration for wanting to get into the industry was when I was younger. I watched Disney Channel, and Lizzie McGuire was my favorite show. And I really resonated with, I guess, the animated version of herself where um, all of her thoughts were. And it made me kind of realize that I have similar thoughts and I'm no different than, this character. And that's kind of where and then at the same time, I didn't see anybody on television in a wheelchair. And I thought, like, oh, I can do that. I could be the person that does this.
Yeah.
And that kind of sparked my initial inspiration. In Chicago, I there's not as many talent agents, so I pretty much contacted all of them in Chicago until I found representation, which I did. But I almost immediately after I found representation, I just decided to move to Los Angeles because there was more opportunity. And my agent actually told me that I wasn't ready for LA, and tried to talk me out of it. And I'm glad I didn't listen to them,
Yeah.
because here I am.
Yeah. Well, what did you find it was like even finding an agent in the first place? Because I know there have been a couple of questions about that. I mean, was it relatively easy, difficult? Are there certain places that you would recommend people go?
Um, in LA in particular, when I first moved to LA, I got pretty lucky because I was referred to my agent by a friend. Um, Currently, I'm moving over to a different agency. Um, so I didn't, I guess, go through the hardships of having to search for an agent in LA. But I do have friends that have, and because disability is becoming so much more like trendy now, and it's very much in and what people are looking for and wanting. I would say just go on their website, and there's always a submission button, and submit yourself.
So, because disability is trendy, so to speak, are you finding more job opportunities? Has it been easier for you?
Uh, um, yes and no. I think that there, it's still a little slow because, um, just like everyone else in the industry, we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown because of the strikes. Um, but I think there's a lot more opportunity, but I think there's also a lot more people. There's a lot more competition.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So, are you finding more roles that you are more that you like more? You know, like more acceptable roles as opposed to beforehand. And this is really based off of conversations that I've had where sometimes the roles could be more tokenized roles. Or are you finding that the roles are just much more traditional, regular, mainstream, so to speak, roles?
I think we're still getting to that point
Okay.
of finding more, mainstream roles. Um, I guess it's a little bit of a middle ground. I am seeing a lot more authentic casting in terms of, if you're looking for someone who's paraplegic, then that person actually is paraplegic,
Okay.
as opposed to like a general broad like disability. Um, so I do appreciate that, like, if you're looking for somebody with a limb difference, you're not finding just anyone with a disability and saying they have a limb difference,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I do appreciate that authenticity. I also have been seeing a lot more roles where they're opening it up. So, if it is originally written for somebody with a limb difference, but they're opening it up to other disabilities, they are specifically talking about how the role can be adjusted to, I guess, state and be authentic in that sense, and change it to the actor that gets casted to their specific disability.
Okay. Are there any type of genres that you like to play in, or that you haven't played in, that you haven't acted in that you would like to, or any roles? Do you like being the villain, or the nice person? What kind of roles do you like to take on?
Yeah, I my favorite roles. I think drama is probably my strongest, um, but comedy and action. Action is something I haven't done that I would love to get into more. Um, Particularly being like a hero type. Um, and but yeah, I would say drama and comedy are probably the things that I am mostly a part of now.
Nice, nice. And what is it like advocating for yourself when it comes to accessibility, accommodations, anything like that?
Um, when I first moved to LA, it was a little difficult to find, I guess, my footing. Like, I was afraid to speak up. And I would say now, what's the best way to describe it? I guess because when you get casted for a role, they say like to kind of stay, basically don't bother casting, and you know what I mean. And they
Yeah,
don't specifically say that, but it's kind of like there's this fear that you won't get casted again
right.
because you're asking for too much, or
Yeah.
you're being a bother, or you're things like that. And so when it comes to accessibility, people are scared to ask for what they want and what they need.
Hmm.
And I'm starting to see a shift where um, people are speaking up more and people are feeling comfortable speaking up more. And there are actually people on set that are dedicated to creating that inclusive environment. I used to kind of say that, think like, oh my God, I'm being too much of a diva on set. And now I kind of say it in a different, like, positive light of like, I am a diva because I need all of these things,
Yeah.
and it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're the whole goal is to be the best actress that you can be, and if a certain accommodation is what garners is what effectuates that goal, then yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Uh, Has there ever been a time when you have had to advocate for changes in a script in order to better represent your disability, if the disability was a part of the character?
Not particularly disability,
Okay.
but I have um recently, the short film I was a part of, there was a small change in the script that meant a lot to me, where if you read a certain script in a certain perspective of like a person that doesn't have a disability,
Mhm.
it could have read the message a very different way.
Okay.
So it was very important to me to like, and I'm trying to think about what exactly the change was, but essentially the goal was for me to let people who are not familiar with disability know that people with disabilities can still be independent regardless of if they ask for help. And the only way to get that message across was by adding just like one line to the script.
Hmm. So, what would you say has been the most challenging role taken on as an actress?
Um, Ooh, that's a good one. I probably would say opportunity. I don't think that there's, enough. I know it's getting better, but kind of like what we were talking about earlier, I don't want to just be going for roles for disabled people. I want to be able to audition for a lawyer role and my disability not be a factor of why they would or wouldn't hire me for that job because I can be a lawyer regardless of if I have a disability
Yeah, yeah,
or
no,
I,
exactly.
I could play the part of a doctor or a whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, is there a role that you can talk about that you're particularly proud of in the way that you um, just performed it?
My most recent short film, called Out of Reach, recently won an award for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. And I'm very proud of the work that me and my team did and the way that it came out, the message that we were able to share. Um, it was definitely amazing all around from beginning to end. And yeah, still sharing as much as I can.
Yeah. Do you find that being a woman with the disability also presents challenges just from that perspective?
That is an interesting question. If anything, I kind of see it as the opposite.
Oh, interesting. How so?
I mean, I think it's just my personal opinion. I don't think
Yeah.
I've necessarily seen um, like a difference in gender when it comes to disability actually play out. But I think I guess in my own personal opinion and mind, I see it as an asset to be a woman with a disability.
Oh, nice, nice. So it's just something else that you use to your advantage in different settings.
In a way, yeah, I definitely see it as a positive asset.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a superpower in being a woman just by the way we sort of think and address certain situations. I
Right.
was listening to a thing today that talked about that. We just approach issues differently. So, so what steps do you think the industry should take in terms of, or continue to take when it comes to better representation that's more authentic?
Yeah, I think having somebody on set that talent can feel comfortable coming to with their accessibility needs, so that they don't feel like they're a quote unquote bother. I think it's really important. I don't expect the director or certain people on set to necessarily need to know my every accessibility need. As long as I can get the job done, that's all the director I think would care about in the moment. So if I had somebody dedicated to making sure I had the needs that I asked for, I'll be able to perform my job as expected.
Yeah. So, what then would Sawson today tell younger Sawson, who's who knows nothing yet, but now you have better perspective?
Yeah, I would say I would have asked for better accessibility.
Yeah.
Um, I think in some scenarios I settled for less And I was grateful for the small changes or adjustments that were made in particularly for me. But looking back, they could have been better.
Sure. Yeah.
Examples, I would be on set and like instead of having like an accessible trailer, I would get like a makeshift tent with a space heater outside
Oh wow.
while next door to the trailer that everyone else gets.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that your advocacy came with experience and just maturity and age and confidence?
Absolutely. I think experience is the biggest one. A lot of the times I didn't, even though I would ask for certain things, it wasn't until I got there that I realized I needed to be more specific.
Yeah.
So if I had known it was going to be a makeshift tent when I got on set, maybe that could have been a conversation before.
Sure.
So then I kind of like learned like to ask just by experience, is it going to be a tent that I'm going to be changing in, or am I going to be getting an accessible trailer?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't, I didn't know I had to ask that until it happened.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't think that I would suspect that the average person wouldn't think that they would have to ask for something like that. Uh, Not when
Yeah,
everyone else is getting a trailer. It just seems common sense that everyone's going to get in a trailer, period. Whether it's accessible. Yeah. Yeah. So, what advice do you have for anyone else that's coming into the industry and interested? How to go about getting started, or maybe things
I
to keep in mind.
yeah. I mean, I keep hearing this a lot, even for my own self, and I'm still doing it and trying to continue doing it. Is make content, put yourself out there, find people to collab with. There's always a student photographer that needs to take pictures. There's always a student director that is looking for people to work on projects with them. So it doesn't always have to be you finding $1,000 photographer to get headshots.
Yeah.
Just take photos on your phone and post them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess is building an IM what the IMDb, does that have any significance or
Not
no?
unless you have anything to put on it, I guess. I mean, I think it's good to have it, but I mean, up until this year, mine has been empty. So it was nice to be able to finally add some credits to it.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't necessarily think it was a positive or negative to my growth.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. That's good to know.
I also could just be using it wrong. I don't know.
I guess there is that possibility. But you just never know because I know that it exists, and certainly I've gone to the website to look up other people's IMDb's, or I've been sent there when I've been
Got
told
it.
about different content, so I wasn't sure if there's any sort of, if it was almost like your online portfolio, so to speak. And then
Yeah.
if it is, do other people of relevance go to that and look at that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't, maybe if it is, and then I haven't really been using it to my advantage. So if anyone has any like tips or tricks or things I should be doing with IMDb, please let me know because I just got IMDb Pro this year and I'm still figuring it out.
Okay, for sure, for sure. Well, I appreciate you coming on and jumping on this live with us today. This was a lot of fun, very interesting to just get sort of inside knowledge directly from someone in the industry who's acting. We've talked to people who are directors, producers, whatever, but it's very interesting to get the perspective of someone who's doing the work from the inside in that way. So I appreciate your time, Sawsan.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Bye, everyone.